This is recorded too, so if you mess up, don't get too bent out of shape. We can always edit it.
I like editing. Make me thinner.
Okay.
Well, if I can figure that out, I'll look like a millionaire.
Well, it'd be pretty easy. Just take the fork and spoon away from you.
You know, that's hard to do. That is hard to do. So, do you want to? I'll do the intro, or do you want to introduce our guest? You want to flip it, since you usually throw it on me to introduce him. This one's kind of more so you.
All right, let's do it.
All right. Recording in 3, 2, 1. It's the all-new live Buy Black Brown Business podcast. I am your man, Chris Rhodes, in the studio with the lovely, lovely, lovely Erica Coleman. Erica, how are you doing?
I'm doing well, Chris. How are you?
I can't complain. If I could complain, it ain't gonna do me no good.
No, because I can't help you with that right now. This is a no complaint zone.
This is a no complaint zone. That's right.
Cool,
That's right.
cool. So I'm so excited today. We have a couple of gentlemen here that we are interviewing and going to talk politics, y'all. We're going to talk politics. I have with me Councilman Kubosh, Michael Kubosh, City Councilman at Large.
It's good to be here.
All right, great. And we have John Gibbs, who is Kubosh's right hand, and
Correct.
okay, all of that kind of stuff. So we're going to talk politics, and we're also going to talk about some of the things that Councilman Kubosh and his team does here in the Houston community.
Yes.
Okay? So first off, explain to us what a councilman at large means.
Well, at large means that there are 11 districts in the city of Houston that are broke up A through K, but there are 5 of us that cover all 11 districts. So I'm a city councilman for everybody in the city of Houston, all 11 districts. I cover all of them. So no matter where you live in the city of Houston, if you have a problem with whatever, the problem might be water bill, you can't get your driveway permitted. I've had so many little issues here lately, and thank God I'm batting 1,000 on them all. I'm able to help mitigate the problems, fix whatever it is, help people with whatever they're calling about. That's why I have John Gibbs on the staff as well. He's a minister, and he has that personal touch with people, and we go out to homes. That's what we've been doing today.
I said, where have y'all been today? Tell us about today.
Today, John called me, and he has someone who he had been mentoring young boys in the Independent Heights area, and he wanted some help a few months ago to help their mother. She had gotten into some kind of a argument with somebody, and they locked her up, and that really puts a challenge on a family when the only breadwinner, the only person, the mom, she got locked up. So we got her out, and then she was out for a while, and then the lady that had charged her again and said she was threatening her, and they locked her up again. Now, they put a no bond on her, so I couldn't get her back out. And John is doing everything he could for the last 3 months, keep her apartment open, make sure the boys are all right, making sure the boys are taken care of. And how old are they, John?
Isaiah is 13 and Tyree is 19. And so for the past 3 months, I've been making sure the gas bill has been paid, the water bill has been paid. When she first got incarcerated, I went and washed all the clothes and made sure things would be right so that when she got out, that she would come home,
not lose her apartment.
Right.
Remember, when you get incarcerated, you
First off,
lose
we have
your
no
car,
income.
you lose
Everything. Yeah.
Right.
I mean, and so anyway, the bond was set at 0. At first it was set at 20,000. We bonded her out, and then because of this other incident, they zeroed the bond, and she just recently got a bond again. And I went and saw the judge and asked him if he would lower the bond to what the prior bond was, and it was in the District Court 209. And let me tell you what, that was the same court that I protested back about 2 years ago when Judge McSpadden was in there, and he had one of my clients being held over every day for 10 days, making him sit in the courtroom from 8 in the morning until 2 or 3 in the afternoon because he didn't have money to hire a lawyer. So he had to call his employer and tell him he couldn't make it.
Oh, wow.
I mean, how egregious is that? So I held a protest. First, I went to the court and sat with my client, and I noticed that the judge never recognized me, never called my client up. So at noon, I called Isaiah Carey and some other reporters, and we did a story.
Oh, wow.
And then that blew up, and then the judge got real mad then, and he called my client up the next day, and he says, and I wasn't there, but some of the ministers were, and he said, that Councilmember Kubosh and Isaiah Carey and all that trash news, and then he kept on saying my name, but he said my name 9 times, and then he told the young man, well, I'm not going to hold this against you, which is code for, I'm going to hold this against you. And when this last election took place and they swept him out, woo! Man, was I happy.
Yes. We'll hold that against you.
Yeah. But we had a protest, and many of the people in the community came out. A lot of the ministers came out, and the entire group of people behind me, except for my daughter and maybe one other person, was from the black and brown community, as they like to say.
All right.
And the black ministers and Hispanic people were standing with me. And then Judge Max Padden says, well, anytime a white judge has a black defendant, they're going to holler racism. I never said nothing about race. And I'm white. I mean, I think. Some people say I'm the blackest council member on the council.
He's a brother.
But the thing is, it wasn't about that. It was about what he was doing. He was mistreating my client.
Yeah.
And then when Isaiah Carey went to interview him, he says, oh, I can't interview with anybody that has Quanell X on his show.
What?
I mean, how racist is that?
Yeah, that is,
Wow.
yeah.
I mean, then he wouldn't talk to Isaiah Carey, and then he made these crazy statements. And after he lost, let me tell you what I did, Sister Coleman. I called the new judge the next day, and I said, congratulations, you got rid of him. You had courage to run against him, and he's gone. And guess who I was in front of today? That judge.
The mystery of God's faith.
Can you imagine how I felt when I walked in there and he recognized me, and I walked up and I said, may I approach? And he said yes, and he had a smile on his face. And after he ruled in our favor to let her out today, and then I said, Your Honor, do you remember me calling you the day after your election? Not only do I remember you calling me, he said, I remember where I was. I was in the HEB parking lot. Well, what's this council member calling me for? And I called you to thank you for running and to get rid of that bad judge. Because a lot of times people wouldn't run against him.
Yeah.
Especially because you have to be an attorney.
Right.
And if you're practicing criminal law, then you got to be in front of him if you lose.
Yeah.
Therein lies the problem. This last election swept out so many bad judges.
That's a good thing.
It was a hallelujah, what a thought. Jesus, full salvation brought.
So,
Awesome.
why do you do what you do? Because it's not so in the black and Hispanic community, let me frame this a little bit better. In the black and Hispanic community, we're always, I don't say always, but there's a lot of us that kind of look at, well, the man is trying to hold us down, right? But you seem like you are, his name don't seem, you are different. You know, what encourages you, what motivates you to really help the black and Hispanic community?
Well, my mom and dad always raised us colorblind.
Okay.
You got to remember, I was born in the 50s.
Okay.
So I remember seeing the white only on the water fountains.
Yeah.
And I remember seeing white onlys on the restrooms.
Yeah.
And my dad would always tell us, boy, you'll see that's all wrong. Daddy would tell us that. That's wrong. And that stuck in my mind.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember how my daddy treated the people in the community that we lived in. How he would make sure that if we had enough, when we had our garden, we had a garden, and we had so much cabbage, there's no way you could eat it all.
Yeah.
So what did we do? Well, we harvested it, we took it to the poorer communities, people in the community, and Dad taught us that giving was a part of life.
Yeah.
Mm.
You know, and that everybody was the same, and we treat everybody the same, and just treating people and to be colorblind.
Yeah.
And so I've raised my kids to be colorblind.
That's awesome.
You know, I've got 19 grandkids.
Wow.
6 of them are
19?
Hispanic. So, and one of them is black, who was adopted,
Mm-hmm.
and I've got an adopted son. And you know, I just believe that you have to treat everybody fairly.
Yeah.
And treat people with respect. And I when I see an injustice, I can't hold back.
Yeah.
Because it's been ingrained and instilled in you from the very beginning.
I can't hold back. What I was gonna tell y'all before all this started was that when we were first talking about what I had done in the community, I said, well, I'll shock you with some stuff.
Okay.
First of all, years ago, there used to be what's called a $35 arrest warrant fee.
Mm.
And if you got arrested, and before they would allow you to bond out on a traffic ticket, you had to pay a $35 arrest warrant fee. It was a post-conviction fee. Now, whether or not you were guilty or not, you had to pay the fee to get out of jail.
Mm-hmm.
And so when I saw that, I just said, that's wrong.
Right.
And I talked to some folks, and they said, I'm not a lawyer, but my brother is. And I said, Paul, that's wrong. We have to do something about that. Paul, that's wrong. We have to do something about that. And one day he said, I'm tired of you telling me. I said, Paul, we got to do something about that. Okay, I'll file suit against them. And we won.
Oh,
And they stopped collecting the $35 post-conviction award. They were charging you a fee before you were ever convicted.
so whether you're innocent or not, you
Yeah,
have to pay
now,
$35.
I felt like we lost because we couldn't get their money back to them, but we won because they stopped
Stop
doing
doing
it.
it. Okay. Okay.
You know, and they stopped doing it. Another thing is that many people in the community don't know, and if you don't know this, I'd like you to tell me you didn't know. I was the foreman of the grand jury that indicted the Bel Air cop that shot Robbie Tolan.
I did not know
I
that.
didn't know that either.
You did not know
I
that.
did not know that.
Think about this for just a moment. Here is, and for those of you who can't see me because I'm on the radio, if there's any guy that's white and possibly looks like Santa Claus, it's me. You know, I didn't pick the color of my skin, the color of my hair, the color of my eyes. I mean, I could have been born dumb and ugly, you know. But my mama said I was pretty. But here I am sitting in the grand jury appointed by Judge Reuben, I'm trying to think of his last name, but Gutierrez. He appointed me to be the foreman of his grand jury. And I'm sitting in this grand jury, and they bring us the Robbie Tolan shooting case.
Mm-hmm.
And when they brought it to us, you know, and we wrestled with it for many weeks. This case was before us. And the bottom line was, and look, when you're the foreman, you control a lot of stuff.
Right.
And I'll be honest with you, we didn't indict anybody that I didn't believe needed to be indicted. Like I figured out how to keep people from getting indicted if I didn't think that they needed to be.
Okay.
But on the other hand, I could make sure you were indicted if
You know, the other way. Okay. Okay.
but I'll never forget my final statement that I made was when a man comes home, regardless of his race or color, when he comes home with his cousin, he hadn't violated any law, he hadn't done anything wrong. He comes home and his parents come outside, and the police show up and they shoot him. Somebody got to go to trial.
Yeah.
Somebody shoot it.
Yeah.
He was an innocent man, shot and should have been killed, and nearly was by that gun by the police officer.
Mm-hmm.
And then they want to know, they sent him to trial. Now he beat the case in trial.
Right.
But let me tell you this: he didn't beat the case in the grand jury.
Right.
And I was the foreman of that grand jury. When I hear people say, "Well, they don't indict cops," you know, that shoot black men, that white men shoot. Well, I said, well, hey, but we did.
Okay.
And in fact, Robbie Tolan's written a book,
Really?
and that book is in Best and Nobles or Barnes and Nobles. It's in a lot of other bookstores, and you need to get the book, because in the book they were shocked that the cop got indicted.
No, that's awesome. Well, I think we're up to our first break. So we're about 13 minutes past the hour on the all-new Live by Black Brown Business Podcast with Michael Kubosh, City Council member at large.
Position 3.
I'll make sure to put that.
No, I didn't know that.
I did not know